So obviously every year at the Oscars, they do a segment called In Memoriam where they talk about and pay tribute to the legacy of any actors or actresses who have passed since the last ceremony. Gene Hackman, who only recently was discovered dead in his household with his wife, got a huge tribute paid to him during this segment.
Yeah.
However, the person who was conspicuously missing from this segment was Michelle Trachtenberg, who was discovered dead on the exact same day as Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
So that actually pays more credence to the idea that this was a pointed absence. I mean, that this was a real decision they made to snub any mention of her from this segment. And I can't imagine why that might be.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say that they just, like, I imagine sometimes if it's like earlier in the year, like, do they put like a brain trust of people together? They're like, who died this year?
Yeah.
And then like
There's
year,
a whole committee
year,
for that.
And every year somebody gets left out. So it wasn't just Michelle Trachtenberg. Shannon Doherty got left out. 90210, right?
Right.
Tony Todd got left out. That one hurt me because I love Tony Todd. Tony Todd is a fantastic actor. One of the greatest voices, one of the greatest actual voices. Like, you know, the opposite of Bob Dylan. Great, fantastic voice. He got left out, and then in a couple of others. So, I mean, it happens every year, and they have these debates about who gets left off these lists. But it's weird to me, given the fact there's been so much public interest in Michelle Trachtenberg's death. I mean, me and you both spoke about how when she passed, you kind of didn't realize the amount of an impact that she had on a lot of different people.
Yeah, and you might think that it has something to do with the presumed level of fame and success that these actors had, whether or not they're included.
Well, here is a list of all of the...
That's not true, as you can see.
Here's the full list of actors from this year. So Gene Hackman, James Earl Jones, Shelley Duvall, Donald Sutherland, Maggie Smith, Gina Rowlands, Terry Garr, John Amos, Robert Towne, Bill Cobb, Joan Plowright, Anouk, I don't know how to pronounce this one, Amy, Louis Gossett, and Cheng Pei. I only didn't know...
I know David Lynch was also on the list. Yeah.
So
I hadn't recognized a good amount of those names.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle Trachtenberg, undebatably was more well-known than several of those names. Not like that's even relevant, but it just means that her level of fame and success had nothing to do with the decision to leave her off of the list.
Also,
so why did they do that?
It used to be like you would imagine that the younger they are, the more conspicuous the death would be.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I don't understand how they could come to that decision. It's not an error of incompetence. It seems like they gave it some thought and decided not to include her in the list. It's weird. Here were some of the tweets regarding this. Michelle Trachtenberg deserved to be shown and remembered in the Oscars in memoriam. That was so disrespectful and BS at the Academy. WTF. I don't like how the snubbed Michelle Trachtenberg was in memoriam. Michelle Trachtenberg deserved her flowers at the Oscars. This is so sad. Michelle Trachtenberg not being mentioned in the in memoriam of the Oscars is upsetting. You are and will remain so loved and admired. Oh, F you at the Oscars for not putting Michelle Trachtenberg in the memorial.
I mean, is it that she was just not considered as big of a star or not?
There's no way. Because there were several names in there I had never heard or come across before. Yeah. So I don't think that she didn't reach some arbitrary level of fame.
I wonder if it's just that again, I imagine that when these lists are put together that the names from earlier in the year, I at least kind of get it. Like it still feels like in the age of the cell phone and the internet that you would be able to find the majority of the names, right? But one of the most controversial things are things like the Oscars or the Hall of Fame for different industries where it becomes subjective about who's going to make it onto what list. Like I was just watching an interview with Ken Shamrock talking about how he's not in the WWF Hall of Fame or the WWE Hall of Fame. And it's always interesting when people have to go back and talk about the kind of arbitrary, I guess what would the term be? The arbitrary feats that you have to reach to get there. But for all intents and purposes, she would have reached those, Michelle Trachtenberg.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There were a few other names they listed here who were not included in the memorial. Elaine Delian from La Cercle Rouge, Mitzi Gaynor from South Pacific, Olivia Husey, I believe, from the 1968 Romeo and Juliet, which was highly controversial, Martin Mull, Clue, and Morgan Spurlock.
Yeah. There's some other famous ones in the past that didn't get it that I thought was interesting. So Ralph Waite didn't get it in 2015. Farrah Fawcett didn't get it in 2010.
Wow.
You would have imagined that she would have. Anne Hesh, Tom Sizemore, Paul Sorvino. Again, this is Chad.
I'm beginning to think, is this just a list of the people who didn't go to the Eyes Wide Shut parties?
Yeah, maybe. Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald is a tragedy, if that's... I guess now Bob Saget, Norm Macdonald, Luke Perry, Vern Troyer, Adam West, Joan Rivers. Like, did just everybody die in those years? And then those were just the names that were so... Like, there's just so many of them that they got...
That's crazy.
And these are all recent deaths, too. So...
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, it says Norm Macdonald
How do they get away with that?
I don't know. I mean, I feel the same way about Tom Sizemore and Adam West.
So weird.
But, you know, what do you think?
These are the people the people you just listed didn't sacrifice children for adrenochrome. The people that you just listed did not go to Bohemian Grove. The people you just listed didn't go to the freak-offs.
Or you know what it is? like there's just one committee member who just hates all of them.
And we all know what happened to Joan Rivers after she made a pointed comment about Michelle Obama.
Oh, is that what it was?
One of her last public appearances. No, I'm just kidding. But there's also new data about Gene Hackman's death. It's still being investigated, and it's unclear how him and his wife and dog died. But what has come to light so far is data from his pacemaker. It found that he had died 9 days before he was found in his home with his wife. So it had been a couple of weeks that they had not been discovered, which is just really sad to think about.
Yeah, and like you can't really, like with no evidence of carbon monoxide poisoning, like I made a post that was just like, this is interesting, or there's like, I said, this is strange. And then people are like, no, it's not strange. And then they give me these really convoluted explanations that are completely plausible, but still so far outside the realm of how things normally happen in life that it still qualifies as strange. Somebody's like, okay, so maybe he dies of a heart attack. She's overcome with grief, overdoses, dog gets into the pills that were next to her, and that's how the dog dies. I'm like, yeah, that's still strange.
Yeah.
Like that's still outside the realm of normal.
Right.
It's so weird too.
Mystery.
When I think of they were in New Mexico. Is that where it was?
Santa Fe, yeah.
Santa Fe. So I was like, I think of it as like, in my mind, I imagined it as like this bungalow, and it was just this sprawling estate.
I imagined it the same way.
They weren't in the same. They weren't even like the front door being open at this massive place is even more of a
that didn't catch anybody's eye.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm sure it was off the beaten path. I saw an aerial photo of it. It was just massive, and I'm like, I just imagined it as like a clay brick house that was just like as big as this room
with lots of plants.
Yes. Yep.
That's how I imagined it.
And Native American imagery,
cacti.
Art. Yeah.
A lot of terracotta.
Yeah, that's what I imagined. And it was not. I mean, it was that, but just on a massive scale.
Right.
The building was not small.
Yeah.
But, you know, more stuff will come out for that, but I don't know if there's ever going to be any real answer unless we find out that she took the pills or something.
Yeah.
Is it weird, like in the movies where like they fake an overdose to somebody and then spread the pills out around them? I'm like, wouldn't there be less pills?
Yeah, wouldn't they have taken
the pills? Wouldn't just the bottle be there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.